Hello, welcome to a new year and another edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of Crop Life and Crop Life Iron magazines, here with my partner in crime, Laura Sowinski. Laura, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. Can't believe it's 2023.
And I know, and actually, I don't know about you because Texas is a little different animal than Ohio, but here in Ohio, where I am watching rainfall. Usually on January 3rd, it is snow, and I believe our high today was 61. So I actually broke out the
Oh,
short sleeve shirt because I'm like, okay, it's way too hot for a long sleeve shirt that lets out no heat from the body. And I'm like, I need to get the arms free here. So I'm not sweating on camera. So
well, I may have told you this one time before, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but when I was born and raised in Ohio, the first day that it hit like 45, 50 degrees, people were out in shorts washing their car. We had the top down, ride.
yeah,
So yeah,
if it wasn't raining so
warm,
hard
warm.
today, I'm sure a lot I'd be seeing people walking around in flip flops and bathing suits having a ball. So,
Yep.
but we're a
It's
little hardy here in Ohio, and I'm in the upper Midwest as well. Although I saw something earlier about Sioux Falls. Our friends call out to our friends at Raven. I guess they're getting some significant snowfall up their way. So apologies to you folks up there in South Dakota land. So
yep.
all right. Well, hey, Laura, speaking of water, since we got a lot of
Mhm.
rain going on and a lot of news on water lately, and I guess this would be under the heading of not so good news for our industry. We found out just as the year was ending, 2022, that EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers had issued their final uh, ruling on the changes for the what is called the Waters of the United States rule, or WOTUS. Uh, and I know a lot of people in our industry have referred to that using the W, the O, and substituting the E for the T part as WOTUS. But anyhow, that came down on December 30th, and a lot of the farm groups are not happy about the proposed rule changes. I guess there's some um, streams that were not in the ruling that it had stood that are now going to be considered endangered waterways that are back in the new rulings. Like I say, folks are not happy. Our friends at the Institute put out a press release. Your friend, Corey Rosenbush, said that the number one thing our industry needs from regulatory bodies is clarity and certainty. The final ROTUS rules provides neither. He went on to say that in February of 2022, we joined a chorus of other organizations and members of Congress in urging the agencies to delay the rulemaking until after the Supreme Court had issued a ruling regarding WOTUS. This ruling will likely negate or render irrelevant significant elements of the WOTUS rule and create even more confusion for businesses and landowners throughout the country. So, and again, I know I also got notes from the National Corn Growers and other trade groups as well, pretty much echoing those sentiments. So, this is not a good rule. I know retailers and custom applicators probably going to have to get used to some new rules that they're going to have to follow as they're putting fertilizer and chemicals down in fields spring and summer here in 2023.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. And like on a related note, this week, as you know, there have been several storms coming across the Pacific, eastward into the West Coast. I think this week, a second, followed closely by a third atmospheric river event is bringing a massive amount of rainfall, like particularly to Northern California. I was reading that if this is the new norm, which indeed whether it is or not, or whether this is, we've had this feast and famine, the drought followed by rain. Kind of on a positive note, I'm seeing more discussion around. So, how do we change our infrastructure to capture when we have these massive rain events? Because there's so much that's lost. I mean, sure, things go into the reservoirs that need it, such, but they were talking about farmers in the Central Valley of California, and how do we capture when we have, a lot of this rain comes down so fast, so much that, quite frankly, you don't even get the benefit of it. If it's snowpack, great, but sometimes, just these massive rainstorms are a little bit too much. So, um, some good news, bad news, maybe, if you will. I mean, I understand uh, the concern around about the regulations and the uncertain certain parts of it, not being able to plan well and stuff. I entirely get that. But hopefully there is positive development related to this story about water. I know, we can't talk enough about it. There's been so much discussion, particularly again on the West Coast. I get it, but so hopefully there's a silver lining, if you will.
Yeah, I'm sure water is something we'll be discussing a lot going forward here. And I know we actually here as a company have a couple of things in the works that we'll be looking at these topics.
Mhm.
So, of course, to our viewers, stay tuned for some news on that in upcoming videos. So,
Yeah.
but then I do have some good news to share. I know a couple of videos ago we were talking a little bit about the ongoing brouhaha between our friends in Mexico and the U.S. regarding biotech corn and the ability to actually export from the U.S. biotech corn to folks in Mexico and have them be able to use it. I know that the original proposal is that after 2024 that would no longer be allowed. But I know that we had reported a few videos ago that U.S. folks were trying desperately to get government intervention to, maybe rescind this ban or somehow change it. And I am happy to report that according to the Mexican foreign minister, his government and the U.S. government have been in contact late December and here in early January, and they are hopeful that they will be able to hash out some type of an agreement by the end of January that, quote unquote, will be mutual beneficial for both sides and provide legal certainty to all parties concerned, unquote. So again, if this comes to pass, then maybe there will be a disruption in U.S. And Mexico's ability to exchange corn, biotech corn from U.S. fields going into Mexico without a problem.
Yeah, indeed. I think it was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago when the USTR, Catherine Tai, was meeting with her counterpart in Mexico about several issues under the U.S. Mexico Canada, i.e., former NAFTA agreement. And it seemed as if the conversations, the dialogue was good. There was some progress, and that was one of the things that they did mention. So I think you're right. It's certainly looking a little bit better now than it did even a couple, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, we'll have some really good news here to report by the end of the month regarding this, and that there won't be any disruptions when it comes to trade between the U.S. and Mexico when it comes to corn supplies going back and forth. So hey, Laura, I know that you have been very, very busy with our upcoming event here in the middle of January. It's going to be in
Well,
Glendale, Arizona, the Vision Conference for 2023. So if you could please share with our viewers what updates you have regarding what will be heard and seen at that event.
yeah, thanks, Eric. We're in the final stretches of preparing for the Vision Conference, January 17th and 18th in Glendale. We're just under a couple weeks out. And the theme for this year's Vision Conference is harnessing the power of Ag 4.0. And I think yesterday we were on a prep call for one of the panels, and our moderator, Kirk Blades from the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, said, this really embodies the theme. He was talking to this disparate group of panelists that he has. He goes, we all really come from different places, and yet we're able to really have a cohesive conversation about how all these parts play together. He goes, that would have never been able to happen before. And I thought, he was exactly right. And so when I look at the program and the content, and again, if you go to thevisionconference.com, you'll see the agenda, the speakers, and what we have in store. But I think that really is what sets it apart this year. I think we're really we're doing just that. It's like we know we have data and product that need to move through the pipeline. So how do we really do that in a way that, we're gathering all this stuff? How do we make the handoffs from one stakeholder to the next? How do we know that if there's a recall or a food safety concern, that we could respond quickly and, kind of do the stuff that we've always dreamed about, but now that it's kind of in reach. So that's just the way that I see the conference and the content. Really super exciting. It'll be my first, so I'm excited about it. We have about 150, 175 folks signed up thus far. So just a right amount of people. We've got a couple fantastic keynotes, day 1 and day 2. So yeah, thevisionconference.com. You should check it out. And Arizona's not a bad place to be this time of year.
No, not at all. I know myself. I'll be over in Peoria, Illinois, for the annual Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association over top those dates. But yeah, I'll look forward to seeing reports from you coming from Arizona. And if I'm in sub-zero degree weather, I will be sure to send you some icicles.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Miss Laura, so let us end this video then, as we always tend to. Time for your favorite segment. Time for Fun with Numbers.
Let's go, Eric.
All right. So we'll see if we can start you out on a winning note.
Okay.
And this is a dollar amount. So your number this week is 325 million. So is 325 million A, the land value increase for an acre of farmland in Iowa during 2022? Is it B, the estimated cost increase for custom applicators under the new WOTUS rules? Is it C, the additional grant money USDA is investing in climate smart ag in 2023? Or is it D, the estimate balance on my credit cards post-Christmas?
You give the most creative, multiple choice answers I've ever encountered, Eric.
Yes, and I will be doing the GoFundMe for the credit cards from Christmas if that is indeed my balance when I get the statement in a couple of days.
Well, just think all those frequent flyer miles you can wrap up with that. I'm going to go with C, funding the USDA is providing for CSA.
Absolutely, absolutely. 100% correct. Good way to start out the year, my dear. Yes, indeed. In the middle of January, our friend Tom Vilsack, the Secretary of Agriculture, announced that the Biden administration had increased the funding for the Climate Smart Ag program by $325 million. That was for an additional 71 projects. And now the total pool for that particular initiative is up to $3.1 billion, covering 141 tentative projects. So, and I believe, if I'm not wrong, climate smart ag is one of the topics being discussed in Vision, correct?
It is, yeah. It's actually a very prominent theme, if you will, throughout a lot of the content. But yeah, you're right. We definitely have a panel devoted to that. So that's great. That's great news. That's 3.1 billion. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, again, it's nice to see, of course, everyone in the industry is talking about climate smart ag and what what role it is going to potentially play in our marketplace going forward. And
Yep.
it's nice to see that the folks in Washington, D.C., they may not be able to agree on a lot of things, but they certainly agree that this is something important that deserves to be funded, and they are stepping up and offering some funding.
Yeah, that is good news. Great.
All right. Well,
And I'm glad
Barbara
the Torah.
Ferrari's getting closer. Good job.
Exactly.
All right. Well, on behalf of myself and Laura Sowinski, thanks for joining us this week for Crep Life Retail Week. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.
If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comments section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.